We don't want to lay off anyone or fire anyone, but that's what's going to happen if this lasts much longer. And that sucks to do as a business owner.
I don't know if that's going to be a gradual or a very steep incline, but definitely going to expect prices to increase. Right now, we're trying to absorb it as much as we can.
From multi-million-dollar brands to neighborhood restaurants, small businesses are scrambling as Trump's China tariffs ripple through Main Street. With a 145% tariff on Chinese goods, business owners say the pain is real, even as policies keep changing.
This is more of like an embargo rather than a tariff, because people are going to have a really hard time selling products at 145%. No one's shipping things from China, because if it's 145%, why even take those goods?
Stephen Borelli, the founder of Cuts Clothing, where we are here in New York City, started the brand back in 2016 with no outside capital, but says today he's considering raising money for the first time to survive the rising prices from Chinese imports.
There's a lot of things that we need to fix in order to overcome these tariffs, but it's hard to overcome them if you don't know what they are long term.
Borelli supports U.S. President Donald Trump, but says businesses like his need help. In mid-April, Borelli took to X with an open letter to Trump, warning every day this continues, more businesses will fail. Solving one issue but hurting the very people who voted for you is not the best outcome. Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary has been a vocal advocate for cracking down on China, calling for tariffs as high as 400% if needed to fight unfair trade, protect American businesses, and get China to the negotiating table.
Trump has to do this now because he's got a time bomb in the midterm elections. Xi can't wait 2 years. He's got to get this resolved too. So unfortunately, one of the derivatives of this kind of negotiation is volatility, and we're in the middle of it now. But you have to look beyond the ball to understand the benefit, and that's what I'm focused on.
The White House is putting the pressure on China to make the next move. Here's U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent in an April 28th appearance on CNBC.
I believe that it's up to China to de-escalate because they sell 5 times more to us than we sell to them. And so these 125, 145% tariffs are unsustainable.
Apollo Management chief economist said in an April 27th note that empty shelves could be a reality in the coming weeks, and says the probability of a recession this summer is at 90%. He also predicted that the flow of container ships from China to the U.S. is likely to come to a stop. With the clock ticking and Main Street on edge, Kevin O'Leary told IBD the focus should be on policy, not politics, when it comes to supporting small businesses.
The way I look at small businesses, they account for 62% of all job creation. They are the economy. Small business is the American economy, so we should care a lot about what they think. And so here's something that I didn't have to deal with until recently. I don't shill for politicians. I'm not pro or con Trump. I don't care. What I care about is policy.
Small Business Week is the first week of May, and this administration is promising to uplift Main Street.
For the next 4 years, the Trump agenda is focused on Main Street. It's Main Street's turn. It's Main Street's turn to hire workers. It's Main Street's turn to drive investment. And it's Main Street's turn to restore the American dream.
But small business owners say the American dream is getting harder to achieve.
And there's a ton of small e-commerce companies that represent the American dream, and we don't have as big as budgets that some of like the Nikes and the Lululemons of the world have. But we want to be a part of that, and don't kill us in effort to accomplish that.
I think what worries me the most is the uncertainty. There needs to just be a direct answer, and then it's like, okay, how are we going to resolve this?
Since the tariffs were announced, already we see a surge in our costs from various vendors. For some, there are no answers, and for us, this means an uncertain future for our Korean restaurant.
That's Ji Kim. She owns a Korean restaurant in Manhattan and says the 145% tariffs are a problem as she's planning renovations with furniture and materials from China. Now, many companies currently source their goods from outside the U.S., and when it comes to the reality of setting up a significant manufacturing presence in America, O'Leary does not hesitate when giving a timeline.
10 years. 10 years at least.
From the campaign trail to the Oval Office, Trump has been promising to bring manufacturing back to American soil.
We need to create, in order to protect our country's future, a resurgence of U.S. manufacturing and production, the likes of which has not been seen for many decades. It's time for our great industries to come back to America.
The machinery is just not as good here. The quality would actually go down in the U.S. by a pretty large margin. A lot of people don't understand that the machinery is like 1980s versus in China, it's in Vietnam and the Asia countries, it's almost 5 times faster.
The CEO and founder of small business lending platform Biz2 Credit says moving production to the U.S. isn't just hard, it's nearly impossible for some businesses.
We cannot expect them to become manufacturers because that's not going to happen, first of all. Any kind of reshoring of manufacturing will take time, first of all. Secondly, it requires a lot of trained workforce.
Do you think Americans will want factory jobs?
No, I don't think they will. I think bringing back manufacturing and using AI and robotics is interesting. I'm very bullish on when we get all this trade stuff worked out, that we keep marching on and with the benefit of AI and technology and robotics in manufacturing or assembly even.
Now, a possible upside to these tariffs could be U.S. trade becoming more competitive.
One good outcome out of all this could be that if Trump is able to get a lot of countries to do zero tariffs, then that's actually very good for the world trade, and that is also very good for American companies because it will also open up a lot of opportunities for American companies. Because one place where President Trump is absolutely correct is that today, it's very easy to enter the US market. But when US companies are trying to go into these markets like China, India, large markets, Indonesia and all that, it has been very tough for them.
Now, small business owners are nothing if not adaptable, but this time, even the strongest may need a lifeline.
As a business owner, one needs to now start thinking about, living in a more uncertain world.
For Investors Business Daily, I'm Clara O'Connor.